Hey, how about you, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of the Auburn Live Recruiting Show. I'm your host, Jeffrey Lee, Senior Recruiting Editor for Auburn Live on 3, and I'm joined, as I always am, by Mr. Keith Niebuhr, Mr. Cole Pinkston, and Mr. Jhead. How about you, fellas?
Yes, sir.
How about you?
All right. I'm all right. Appreciate you asking. Hey, a lot going on this week. Auburn has had studs at every practice so far, and that will only continue on Friday. Monday was a handful of stud recruits on campus. Wednesday was another 3 to 4. And Friday, my goodness, it's almost a big cat list, to be honest with you. We are recording this show on Thursday, March the 16th, the Auburn basketball game. Auburn Tigers play host to. They play the Iowa Hawkeyes today
Pretty
in
much.
the first round, in Birmingham. So by the time you're listening to this, we will know whether or not Auburn is advancing or coming home. Before we get started, folks, we want to answer all the emails and comments from last show about who can they call to find a house. We got the answer for you, man. Jessica Andrus with the Talons Group. Jessica Andrus, 334-704-4442. Give her a call. She can do it all, folks. Investment property, residential, Auburn, Opelika, Lee County. She even manages some flips sometimes. So, has some good luck doing that. 5-star agent. Give her a call, 334-704-4442, and tell her we sent you. All right, let's take this show in chronological order for this week. Monday, Auburn had a return to practice after a week off for spring break. Didn't waste any time getting recruits back on campus. Some of the top recruits that were there were Jalen Crawford, the top 100 cornerback from Parkview, his teammate Antonio White, who is an emerging DB prospect for Auburn, Kamarion Franklin, the number 1 player in Mississippi, Jalen Mbakwe, the number 1 player in Alabama, also a Bama commit. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody, Cole.
Monday,
Bradley Shaw,
Jameer Grimsley,
4-star linebacker from Hoover is Bradley Shaw. Jameer Grimsley, I think he's a 3-star on some networks, and he is an athlete from Tampa Catholic. There were some other guys there. Those were the main guys. If you haven't, you can read about all of their. So I tell you who we forgot: Big Dog Casey Poe.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Big Dog Casey Poe, interior offensive lineman from Texas, was in Auburn for his first visit. Gotta like what that kid said. Gotta like what Jalen Crawford said. Some impressive things they had to say after their visit. And then Wednesday, it was another 3 to 4 guys who were Justin Green, big dog defensive lineman from Georgia, the top 10 defensive lineman, Joe Phillips.
Yes.
4-star Jack from Tuskegee, and then the 4-star wide receiver, Perry Thompson, who is committed to Alabama, was also back, I think, for his second visit since January. So two of Alabama's top in-state commitments both visited Auburn this week, and I thought it was impressive that Auburn had the number 1 player in Alabama, Jalen Mbakwe. They had the number 1 player in Mississippi, Kamarion Franklin. Today, Thursday, KJ Bolden, the number 1 player in Georgia, arrived for possibly an overnight visit. Pretty decent week, Jhead. As a fan, what were you impressed with what you saw?
I don't see any way you couldn't be impressed, Jay Lee. Look, the way they are allocating their time and doing it smartly by bringing a diverse group of kids on campus each and every day that they have practice. They're not overloading one or the other. They're making sure that they're allocating their resources smartly and accurately to guys that they have legitimate interest in and that those prospects have legitimate interest in Auburn. And then you look at the quality. These are guys, to quote Wesley McGriff, they're top shelf. We're not taking a bunch of stiffs here. You know what I mean? You're not bringing in a bunch of kids from the Alabama School of the Blind and Deaf. You know what I mean? These are guys that are top-end prospects that every SEC team wants, or the large majority of them that they have offers out to. So seeing kids, the quality of a Joseph Phillips, the quality of, the green kid from Georgia, Jalen Crawford, guys that have Auburn high on their board and we have high on our board, the more you get them on campus, the better off you're going to be. And I just love what I'm seeing. And that's not even – this is just talking about what's been on campus. We haven't even transitioned yet into what will be on campus this coming Friday, which is even more impressive than what we've seen today.
Cole, you were there Monday, you were there Wednesday. Some of the things that really stuck out to you. Anybody that you walked away going, Okay.
Yeah, definitely Jalen Crawford. Maybe Casey Poe too. Those two on Monday, and then Wednesday. I know what he said. I know what Perry Thompson said. He made a big to do of it. I guess you would say that it's between Auburn and Alabama, and I believe him. But I think Alabama's got the big edge right now. I think Auburn's got a long way to go still, personally, and that's just a gut feeling from talking to him, from trying to figure out his recruitment. So, but the other two, man, I could definitely see Jalen Crawford ended up at Auburn, depending on how Georgia pushes Clemson. Those seem to be the other two. His recruitment reminds me a little bit of Nyland Green not too long ago, who ended up at Georgia. Sort of similar type players and all that too. So interesting. Maybe Auburn changes that this time and gets him. I think they got a good shot. So Casey Poe too, man. I felt good about him before he came Monday, and I left feeling the same way from talking to him that day. And of course he was sweeping through a bunch of schools, but I think Auburn was one he was. You know what? I think it seems like when I talk to these guys, it seems like there's a challenge put on these guys from the coaching staff at Auburn, and it starts with Hugh Freeze. He'll challenge you a little bit. It seems like, hey, don't make a decision without coming here. Are you kidding me? You're gonna have to come see it first before you do anything. It seems like he's telling them that, and even Ben Egamawa kind of hinted at that. So, they got nothing to lose. Why not? Why not?
Keith, can I say something jump in here.
You guys are the ones that were there talking to, but Georgia's always going to be a threat if it wants to be with a majority of the top guys in Georgia. Not always. There's some kids that have no ties to that state, just happen to live there and want to go play at Michigan or Ohio State or USC or whatever. But I will say this, once their national presence started to really grow, they're recruiting all over the place. And I think that is cracking the door open for a school like Auburn to go in and get some A-level guys in the state of Georgia now. Now, again, if Georgia decides to go all in on a guy, it's still going to be problematic.
Yeah.
But, again, when you look at where Georgia's picking up kids now, California, Texas, all over the place, and I think that gives enough of a window, enough of a crack of the front door to allow a school like Auburn to get in there and really build that relationship and make Georgia, if they decide to really heavily pursue a kid, sweat it out some. So that, to me, that's a perfect example of potentially that happening. So, Cole, maybe this would be one where Auburn can get it done. But, that's one of the things that happens, when a school starts recruiting nationally, and Auburn's been there before. Your backyard isn't the priority that it once was. And, because you now have your pick of anybody. But, again, there's plenty of great players in Georgia. And if Auburn can just go up one level on 8 to 10 guys a year from where it's been recruiting, that's significant in that state.
I was peering over the list for Friday, and folks, it is big cat worthy. It really is. I just counted them up. I had Dylan Stevenson on here, and I believe at one point he had planned to visit tomorrow. I don't think he's no longer expected to visit, so I'm taking him off, and that leaves 9 4-star recruits expected to be in, and not just any 4-star recruits. We're talking 5 of the top 100. You got the number 3 overall player, KJ Bolden, number 44, Jalen Hayward. I'm sorry. Is it Jalen?
Yeah,
you always mess this up. Is it Jalen Hayward? Okay.
It's Jalen.
Yeah. Well, usually when Keith, Jalen Hayward. Usually when Keith says it,
your head now that you're,
yes, it's not Jalen. Yeah. Jalen Hayward, number 44 overall. Daniel Calhoun is a big one, offensive tackle, number 72 overall player, and then of course Walker White, he's at 106. But Chance Robinson's coming up, the number 97 overall player. Then you've got 4-stars like Caleb Odom,
love that kid.
124 overall. Bray Staley, 254 overall. I mean, seriously, if this was a Big Cat list, it may be about 5 or 6 away from being an impressive Big Cat list.
Yeah.
But and this isn't even A-Day. This is the first scrimmage of the spring on a Friday. Very impressive. Keith, what do you think?
I love it. And you're going to get a lot of these kids to spend the night probably too. And, we were always wondering, how does it work if you don't have if you're not practicing or scrimmaging on the weekend, is that going to be bad for you? Well, in this case, it might be pretty good for you. You're going to have kids all day Friday, then they're going to get to scrimmage. Then a lot of them are probably going to spend the night, and then it's just kind of chill out the next day. So, a guy that I talked to last night, Amaris Williams, 4-star defensive lineman from North Carolina, is coming in. Didn't even really know that Auburn was on his radar. And he says, hey, not only am I coming, they're going to get an official visit. And there's more guys like that. I'm telling you, there's guys popping up. They're doing a lot of work that we see, and they're doing a lot of work that we don't see, Jeffrey, except until these guys end up on these visitors lists. I think Daniel Calhoun, to me, is kind of the one I'm going to pay the most attention to because, he visited Auburn in the past. He liked Auburn. Then they kind of, coaching change. He's putting out top 8s, top 10s, whatever. No mention of Auburn. And you knew they were going to get him back on campus. You just knew it. And if they can kind of make some kind of ascent with him, that's significant. I'm telling you, they're in it with a lot of offensive tackles. They really are. And I think they got a chance to hit a home run on the offensive line this cycle. I still believe – I really believe that. And this looks like that's heading in the right direction. Did I see – is Jonathan Daniels on the list too for Friday? Or
I did not see him.
Okay. Well, we know he's coming too. That's another offensive tackle from down in Pensacola. But, no, it's impressive. I don't necessarily love their chances with KJ Bolden, who arrived today. Jeffrey, I think you broke that story. But he's visiting. And you just never know, right? You never know. There's a whole new vibe, a whole new momentum surge. Now we get to also – the second thing I'm following is we're going to get to see what Walker White can do in person.
Right on.
These kids. He's in Arkansas. He sees more of the Dallas, Texas, Louisiana, Houston kids in camps and settings like that. So now he's going to get to spend some time with kids in Auburn's neck of the woods or from Auburn's neck of the woods. We're going to get to see what kind of recruiter he is in person. He's hit up dozens of kids. Every time I talk to a kid, yeah, I just heard from Walker. So what can he do in person? He's a pretty impressive young guy. So,
yeah, he's all in on the recruiting thing. Yeah, there's no doubt.
Keith, I thought about you today. Jeremy Johnson on Threes. Jeremy Johnson had a story about some twins from Miami, Tycleen and Taku Hill.
Yeah. I talked to them a couple weeks ago and decided not to write about them. They're edge rushers from Miami Norland, I believe.
Yes.
They say they want to visit Auburn, but I couldn't really. They didn't have enough info to really. I don't know what was in that story today.
They're a package deal. They're twins.
Yeah.
Auburn has made Taku Hill feel like a priority when he's been on campus. Apparently, they visited. When I went over there, they showed a lot of love. It was like they wanted me over there.
I thought they visited the last staff. I don't know if they visited. Have they visited recently?
Not to my knowledge.
That was one of big targets for Rock.
Yeah, that's my concern. They don't really know. Now, they say, I think Ron Roberts, the defensive coordinator, I think he might have been the one to go to their school in the spring.
Yeah.
Again, they just didn't have a lot of info. They weren't sure if for sure they were going to visit and all that stuff. But, yeah, obviously they're physically very impressive. They're tall and lean. I ran into them at a camp down in Orlando a couple of weeks ago, but I just didn't get a feel for their recruitment. But they're not. They're saying they're going to visit at some point this spring. Is about all I can tell you.
And those were just some guys. When you say they're recruiting guys that we don't even know about, that was kind of what sprung in my head. Let me just give a quick rundown on everybody because it's more than these 4-star guys. Walker White's going to be here. KJ Bolden arrived today. Daniel Calhoun, the big offensive tackle. Jeremiah Beeman, top priority at defensive line, coming down from Parker. Chance Robinson's coming up from St. Thomas Aquinas. Jalen Hayward coming up from Rockledge. He's committed to Georgia. Amaris Williams, Keith talked about him. Braylon Staley from South Carolina is coming over. Caleb Odom's coming over from Carrollton, Georgia. Colton Heinrich coming up from Fort Lauderdale. Big tight end from Cardinal Gibbons. Malachi Tolliver from Cartersville, Georgia. Chris Peterson, safety from Westlake in Atlanta, home of
Cam Newton, right?
Cam Newton. Khalil House, a big interior offensive lineman. Xavier Hamilton, that linebacker from Navarre, is coming back. Jamison Riggs. Big one. A couple of kicker. They're going to sign a kicker, and they've got a couple of them coming. Maz Prosney and Towns McGough from Auburn High School. And listen, there's some 25 guys. Jordan Crawford, who's expected to be one of the top players in the country. Parker, defensive lineman, is coming down. Naheem Alford is also from Parker has an early Auburn offer, and of course Malik Aldridge coming over from Opelika. I think well over 20 guys are going to be there. We're expecting Auburn to scrimmage and all of these guys to arrive mid-morning, get a good tour of the campus, get to sit in on some meetings, kind of get a feel of what playing in Auburn would be like should they choose. Will Auburn pick up any commitments from this group or anytime soon? It's a decent question, probably one we should ask ourselves every once in a while. I don't have anybody.
It's tough.
Jay Lee, it's so nuanced now with how recruitments go down. Like you said, 20 years ago, kids used to come out and say, hey, I just committed. It was a situation where they were ecstatic to talk to media. And now it's, they want a graphic and they want to break it on social media, or they have an announcement time. So it's much more nuanced. And look, the coaching staffs also want to make sure that this hits at the right time so that they can capitalize on momentum as well. So maybe this is a situation where you do pick up a silent commit, but it doesn't actually come out for several more days, so they can kind of sequence several commitments in a row. But I don't know if there's anybody on our radar, and maybe I don't want to speak for you guys, but on my radar for sure that I think's ready to commit right now. But I feel really good at the direction of the way recruiting is going, the relationships they're building, the foundation they're building. And then maybe this will start to pay off probably, back end of April, May, going into June, which is a heavy commitment month. June, July, and August are now the big commitment months as far as summer OVs are concerned and everything else.
Yeah, I think April the 8th is the 8A game, obviously. But I think after that, if you've got you want to come out of A-Day creating some momentum going into the offseason, especially in recruiting. I could see maybe some coming in mid to late April, right before getting some momentum going to the summer camps, summer official visits.
Yes.
And, one guy we'll be keeping an eye on, Cole, Joe Phillips, who visited yesterday on Wednesday.
Right.
And, you asked him about timeline, and he said, I still would like to do it in March, but I still want to take my official visits.
Well, I got to tell you, I was really surprised. And Chad Simmons is awesome. He gets all the scoop, man. He's fantastic. When he came out and said, he was going to wait, because the dude was gung ho about March. He said, it's happening in March. And his coach was like, it's happening in March. You better bank on it. And they said, but we do need to see these places first. And I asked him, I kind of went into that with him too. I was like, so you've been where? He said, Georgia, Clemson, named a couple places. I said,
Florida State.
You got to go where? And he's like, Texas A&M,
Penn State,
Arkansas. I said, okay, so we're getting a little closer here to you having seen everybody you want to see. Where are you at? Where are you at with that? And he was like, well, I can't remember exactly what he said, but I still want to do it as soon as possible. I want to get in the boat somewhere, is what he told me afterward too. That is a big deal to him. I got to get somewhere before it fills up. Whatever these coaches are telling him, that seems to be a big deal to him. So, and that doesn't just mean Auburn. That means anywhere that might be filling up at his position. And he made notice of going out to practice, and he goes, I'm looking at the Jack group. He said, I know they need a couple more guys, but that's never going to be a big group. They're kind of specialized guys. He said it's a small group, but each guy in there looks like a monster. He said, and they want me to play that, and that's big to me. He said, but I know there's never going to be a lot of bodies in that group, so if I want in, I better get in. That was the main theme he was trying to say.
There were only like 5 people in the room. This is Joe Phillips talking about the Jack linebacker room after his visit yesterday. They have giants in that room. It means I have a better chance to come in and play. Next year, they're only going to be like 2 to 3 because Auburn's going to be losing some to graduation. So I have a good chance of coming in to play. As far as his timeline goes, of course, his official visit, that's already set in stone. I don't know the date, but I'm coming. I'm coming back for sure. And which not a huge breaking news there anyway. But he said, quote, as far as the commitment timeline, I still want it to be March, but I think I'm going to wait until after my OVs. I want to enjoy that aspect too.
Right.
So either way, man, he's not far from it. We all think Auburn's in the driver's seat here. I don't think anybody in the country would argue with us on that.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of when and not if. So he would be a very big piece to this 2024 puzzle.
That smells like one where a guy may take 2 official visits in June. Auburn's his 3rd official visit, and then it's over potentially. Something like that.
I think you're on the same page, and I think those OVs are going to go to Florida State, Clemson, and Auburn, and then there's hopefully there's commitment to
the kid wants to take 5 official visits, but that can get kind of tiring.
Yeah,
for family members, they have jobs.
Funny you asked that, Keith. And when Joe goes to Auburn, he goes by himself for the most part, or with his buddy Elijah Hall, who is a recruit. I think he goes with family to the other ones. The only reason, hey, I can just ride up whenever. I don't really need the family to go. I can
Mom and Dad don't have to be off work for me to ride up the interstate.
Right,
practice.
But I did ask him because we were taking pictures, and I could tell they were ready to go. And he's like, "Man, I'm kind of getting tired of the picture thing. I ain't got no more poses. Okay, that's all I got." Like, I get it. I said, "What about the recruitment thing? You getting tired of that yet?" And he goes, "No, I still like it." Okay, all right. I would too, man. If everybody wants you, how could that be terrible? You know what I mean? Everybody's trying to get you on campus. I'm sure it gets old, but for a while, it's fun. I bet it's like staying in a hotel. It's fun for a couple of days, but after a week, you're not having fun anymore. Ready to go home.
To use his analogy, the girlfriend analogy, he's got a lot of girlfriends pulling at him right now. He's got a lot of schools that want him.
Yes, he does.
He's getting flirted with a lot, and if you're a 16, 17-year-old boy, probably don't want that to end for a couple more months.
That's what it was like for Jhead back at George Washington Elementary.
He was a 2-timer.
He's getting all those hearts on Valentine's Day like Billy Madison.
Brother, if I had one heart, it was a good Valentine's Day. I promise you that.
It's funny.
Let's see what's up with, and then of course Auburn will practice after Friday. Auburn will take the weekend off, come back Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of next week, which will be the 23rd. Still more guys expected to come, already planning to be on there. Still waiting to see Cam Coleman. That's kind of where I am with all this right now. Yeah. I've seen all these guys come from out of state, come from out of region, come from Texas. Hell, there's going to be Arizona. Dylan Hipp was here. He was another one we forgot about on Monday. Dylan Hipp, tight end from Arizona, was here. Casey Poe from Texas. Got guys coming from North Carolina, South Carolina, Arkansas. So, but the one guy from in-state who has not visited, at least lately, is the future 5-star wide receiver Cam Coleman. I kicked over some rocks the other day, and there's not concern from Auburn. At least they're expecting him to visit soon for this spring, I'm guessing. And but until he does, I'll still be looking for his name.
Yeah,
to show up.
Yeah, and my intel matches yours. It sounds like he's had a pretty busy 7-on-7 schedule, Jay Lee, and he hasn't really visited a lot of schools. Period.
Are they playing 7-on-7 right now?
They are. It's 7-on-7 season. Yes.
Chris, here's another way. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jhead.
No. Go ahead, Keith. Jump in.
Here's another way to look at it. Justin Ross visited Auburn more than I thought was humanly possible. E.J. Williams was going to Auburn from like his 10th grade year all the way through. Carmelo English was at Auburn all the time, and none of the three ended up at Auburn, all from the same school. So usually we say follow the visits, but that may be more applicable if somebody's from Birmingham or Atlanta or Mobile or Jacksonville or Orlando. Rashawn Evans was another guy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're talking
shit. Look at Quay Russaw and James Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. At
a certain point, I think that follow the visits is more important if a guy is in Atlanta, let's say, than he is right down the road. But you're right, Jeffrey. I keep thinking, man, when's this guy going to visit here? I'm the one that's on the hook with an on-3 recruiting machine prediction for Auburn here. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, good here. Jeffrey, you and I had picks on Tony Mitchell too, but we're not gonna go in that direction, I guess, on this show. But
bad day for that pick.
Yeah, but I think Kentucky's the only school he's visited this spring so far, and then the 7-on-7 schedule has kind of jerking him around a little bit. And so the hope is that once he gets beyond or gets kind of a break in the window, that's when the visits will start to kind of happen for him.
Was he not at LSU and Texas A&M recently?
Maybe he was. Maybe he was, Keith. I'll have to go back and look and see if he's visited both of those schools. But my understanding was it was the 707 schedule that's kept him from being at Auburn.
Maybe, Keith. Maybe. With Central Phoenix City wide receivers, it's how little they visit.
You never know. You never know.
He was at LSU March the 10th, so last weekend, and also Florida State and A&M. I don't see a visit, but that may not have been accounted for on his profile. I was looking at the Alabama rankings, on 3 industry ranking for the state of Alabama. Of the top 5 guys in that ranking, I think all of them except him. So you've got Jalen Mbakwe, who visited Monday, DeMarcus Riddick, who was here January and who continues. He'll be back. I don't have any doubt about that. DeMarcus Riddick, but he's already.
He told me Friday on the phone, Jeffrey, but I think he was still trying to figure out a specific date. Like tomorrow, he's supposed to be there on the 17th, but again, he was trying to figure out a date. So
he'll be back. I don't have any question about that. So Perry Thompson was here yesterday. Jordan Ross, the 4-star edge from Vestavia, was here, I believe, January.
Yeah, he was here for the junior day, was he not?
That's what I'm thinking, the big junior day. Cam Coleman is the 5th one. Jeremiah Beeman's coming tomorrow. Again, he's been here several times already. Traveris Banks, Keith, I think that's one of your dudes that you've been following pretty closely.
Yeah.
I can't remember if he visited for that junior day or not. Kevin Riley is another kid from Tuscaloosa.
I think both the Tuscaloosa kids did, Jeffrey.
Okay. Mario Craver was here for junior day. Bradley Shaw was here yesterday. So of those top 10 players in the state, all of them have visited at least once since January, except Cam Coleman.
Yeah, and Shaw was here the day after the junior day. He was part of that group that came in, so he's been here twice.
Cam Coleman was scheduled on that day, and he didn't. He
had gone to Kentucky the day before. Yeah. He planned to visit. He was just kind of tired. You know, and that is a little bit of a haul from Lexington back down to Auburn.
Oh, for sure.
But communicating with these guys, he knows he's a priority. He knows he was the first 2024 receiver offer for Marcus Davis and Hugh Freeze. So now, obviously, you want the guy to visit. I'm not suggesting otherwise, but I mean, if Jeffrey's sources are saying, "Hey, don't worry about it yet," you know,
there's a lot of confidence there. Not that they're going to get him, but that they're definitely in it and that he's going to visit. The next 3 guys in that in-state ranking: Sterling Dixon, who's committed to Alabama, Jamarian Burnett, who's been to Auburn, who was here from January. Joe Phillips has been here 3 times since January, including yesterday. And then 14 and 15, Kavion Henderson,
Arkansas commit.
I don't think Auburn's very high on him.
Yeah, I checked in with him a few weeks ago. He hadn't really heard much from Auburn. Things could always change, but.
And Malcolm Simmons from Benjamin Russell. I think he was here for January.
Yeah, he was.
That's the athlete, right?
Athlete from Benjamin Russell, sure is.
Yeah.
He does not have an Auburn offer yet, correct?
I don't think so, and I don't think Kavion Henderson does either. So I think of the top 13 players in the state, according to the On3 industry ranking, all of them have visited recently in the past couple of months. I don't know that Sterling Dixon is, and I don't know that Auburn's.
I'm not sure he's super high on the board.
I was going to say, I don't think, but we'll count him anyways. But of the top 13 players, Sterling Dixon, the Alabama commitment, hasn't visited since this calendar year, and Cam Coleman, those 2 guys.
I thought Dixon came for the junior day, but
I thought he might have too.
He did.
He was an early departure.
Okay, so he was here.
We didn't catch him.
So of the 13 top in-state players, only Cam Coleman has not visited this calendar year that we're aware of.
That we know of, yeah.
So herein lies the question. Can Auburn do what we've been talking about probably for the last 2 years, which is of the top 15 players, can they get around half? Can they get theirs and keep teams like Georgia and Clemson? Because, look, Alabama's going to get theirs, okay? We know that they're going to get theirs. That's just how it works. But can Auburn be that second team in the state that gets the large majority of that top 15, that group that has those NFL traits and potential to really kind of raise the floor of where we are or where we have been as a program?
That's a great point. But it's a little tricky though, because let me give you an example. One of the guys inside that top 15, Kavion Henderson. Well, we don't think Auburn's pushing for him. So that take 15, now you're down to 14, right? Tavares Banks. Go ahead, Jeffrey.
Well, let's put it to top 20 because you've got you got Jaden Lewis at 19 and you've got Amon Lane at 20. And
I like that.
So Auburn's got two of the top 20. Of course, Alabama, Georgia, and Alabama have the top three: Jalen Mbakwe, DeMarcus Riddick, and Perry Thompson.
And from that 20, how many at the end of the day, how many did Auburn want? So if they don't recruit Kavion Henderson, if they don't, well, like Tavares Banks, a really good player. They seem to like him a lot. But, man, like we've talked about over and over, the DB board is loaded. Yeah. So I don't know. Are they going to push for this guy? I don't know. Who knows?
And listen, here's some names in the top. Number 16, Damian Thompson. Never heard of him. He's a DB from Mars Hill Bible School in Florida. Ronnie Royal, who is a potential guy to keep an eye on, running back from Gulf Shores.
I would definitely keep an eye on him.
Josh Flowers from Baker, a quarterback. Auburn definitely doesn't want him. He's committed to Mississippi State, I believe. And then Jaden Lewis and Amon Lane. So of the top 20, Auburn probably is pushing for, at least to our knowledge, maybe 17 of them.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about out of those 17 that we're trying to actively get on campus, that they're actively recruiting. And we don't know necessarily where they sit on the board, but can you get enough of those 17 to be difference makers in this class?
Well, Joe Phillips would give you 3 out of the top 20. If you truly lead for Cam Coleman and you land him, that's 4 out of the 20. And at that point, I think anything more than that is kind of gravy, to be honest with you. I mean, you'd love to have Jeremiah Beeman, but the reality of it is there's a lot of defensive linemen between Auburn and, let's say, Virginia Beach, in that whole region that Auburn's after a bunch of guys. So they're probably not going to have a hard time. They're going to be able to get some guys. There doesn't seem to be an offensive – is there an offensive lineman in Alabama that they're going to –
Yeah.
Who?
Who's the kid from Clay Chalkville?
That's him at 21.
Jaquan McCroy, and then Malachi Harris, maybe a guy from Anniston. I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't heard his name much.
William Sanders from Brookwood.
Yeah. It's a down year for offensive linemen in the state. It's completely flipped from last year, where you could have taken a class basically out of Alabama and Georgia of top guys, and that would have really kind of cemented. I think.
Yeah. Damn.
There's Go ahead, Jay Lee.
Of the top 44, according to the On3 industry ranking, in-state players, only 4 are offensive linemen.
Wow.
Right.
Malachi Harris, I think somebody mentioned him.
You'd like to get either Beeman or Ross, right? If you could get one of those two, you'd probably be pretty happy on the defensive line.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I feel better of Beeman of the two, but I don't feel great about Beeman either. So
no, that's going to be a tough battle with Alabama for sure.
I think Clemson's a big one for Beeman too. So he's not close to narrowing it down. Every time I talk to him, he can't come up with, the same schools every time. It's somebody different every time. And that means to me, I'm still really open to everybody, still trying to figure it out, which is fine.
I mean,
some guys like to wait.
I don't know about you guys. It's really looking like the state of Georgia is going to be Auburn's.
Yeah.
East State. At the end of the day, when we measure their class and how it performs, now they're going to get some guys out of Alabama. Obviously, they're going to probably grab a few out of Mississippi too. They'll probably grab a few out of Florida,
Texas, maybe.
I think the Florida board down here is going to shift a lot as guys commit to Texas. Exactly, but I mean, you could see. I don't know. Just going off the top of my head, it looks like you could probably see 7 to 10 guys maybe out of the state of Georgia. That could be where Auburn really cuts its teeth this cycle. You talk about all these guys. And Jamison Riggs, I mean, I didn't mean to overlook that guy. I mean, they have him super high on the board. He's only a 3-star guy, right? So, that's one of those ones where fans don't get excited. They see 3-star, and they've got him higher on the board, according to Cole and Jeff's intel, than a lot of these guys that are mid to high 4-stars, So,
yeah.
And I think Riggs is a 4-star in at least 2 other
Cole, would you say he's higher than Jaquan McCroy?
I would.
Who's a 4-star?
Yeah, I would without hesitation. I would say he is.
I think so too. A lot of variables here when you're looking at a class, but you got DJ Barber down there, who Auburn has higher than this. DJ Barber, I believe, is at 26 or 27. So you take off. Let's say you take off Take off the 3 guys in the top 20 that Auburn isn't interested in. Then go down below there and give me 3 guys who Auburn is interested in. Put them up there in that 20. Now you've got 20 guys in the state of Alabama that Auburn's interested in, that Auburn wants. Most of whom Alabama wants, most of whom Georgia wants, Clemson wants, and then let's measure from there.
Right.
Sounds good to me.
Jeffrey, if you take that from number 20 to number 30 in the state of Alabama every year, there's guys that make the NFL from that.
Oh, yeah.
Number 30.
Oh, absolutely.
Very good state. It really is.
Look, Malik Blockton is number 30.
Oh, yeah,
and he's got offers from pretty much everyone.
How about the DB from Montgomery that wanted to go to Auburn so bad?
Oh,
That went to Nebraska. Cam Taylor.
The kid from Park Crossing.
And now he's starting in the Super Bowl. Didn't he start in the Super Bowl? Or was it the AFC Championship game? I can't remember. He plays for the Bengals.
He plays for the Bengals. Cam used to play quarterback for the team I coached for.
Yeah, man, that was a guy begging to go to an – now, you can't – look, hindsight's 20/20. I'm not ripping any Stafford out there. But that illustrates the quality of the guys that you're going to find in that 20 to 30 range, too. And even with Auburn, I mean, where was Daniel Thomas? And where was Roger? McCreary may have been in the top 20 before all was said and done. But there's a lot of really talented players in that. Yeah, I think, Jeffrey, the top 30 is probably a better indication.
How about Auburn's 2 top guys at corner right now, Nehemiah Pritchett and DJ James? They were both really low in the state of Alabama.
I bet you they were top 35 guys.
Yeah.
I think that's probably about right. I know DJ was top 25. I can't even remember where Pritchett ended up. I mean, he was a Greg Brown special. Saw him in a camp doing press man and said, let's sign this kid.
Yeah. Which, by the way, guy from Georgia that's will be at Auburn Friday, Christian Peterson from Westlake, is actually from Dothan, Alabama, and recently moved to Atlanta. So he has a lot of familiarity with Auburn, and I think he's a corner. I think they like him at corner from what I understand, and they're going to get a couple corners. They're going to have to because Pritchett and James are gone.
Right? I guess if we could get a number, it'd be nice. I don't know if we can. How many more corners are they going to take? How many more safeties are they going to take? Is the total 6 the aggregate? Because they got about 30 really good guys, maybe 25 really good guys they're recruiting at those 2 positions. And I'm trying to figure it all, like Tavares Banks. Where does he sit on the board? The kid from Warner Robins that just visited, a week ago? That kid's a really good player. Where does he sit on the board?
Yeah.
I think he's high. I mean, I think he's real high.
Well, I mean, the kid from Tampa Catholic, Grimsley, that visited just 2 days ago, where's he on the board? I mean, they have a hell of a list of guys at corner and safety. I guess first and foremost, I need to try to track down how many guys they want because it can't be that many. I feel so good about that position. I know you guys, those 2 positions. I know you guys.
I think 2 more corners at least because Jaden Lewis is kind of projected as a guy that's going to play more safety than corner as of right now. So probably 2 more corners. You've got a nickel in the class already. Maybe 2 or 3 safeties contingent on how they plan, like what the attrition rate is in the safety room. You got a lot of safeties, and not every one of those guys are going to play. And several of those guys are guys that are going to be in the program for 2-3 years that probably, if they're not going to be in the 2D, are going to get the itchy trigger finger come next year and jump into the portal.
Having 2 guys they like already committed, and if you can get a guy like Crawford on board, let's say, the numbers are going to play to their advantage. Like you guys were talking about with Phillips, the spots. Hey, there's limited spots.
Yeah.
Once you get up to 3 and 4 guys committed in the secondary, I think that works to the advantage of Wesley McGriff and Zach Etheridge, who are dynamite recruiters and have Auburn in the ballgame with so many guys. And they're going to be able to really start leveraging those guys, quite frankly.
Oh, absolutely. And you saw Travis do that. I remember watching Travis Williams do that with that big linebacker class he took when you had Cam Riley and Desmond Tisdale and Wesley Steiner, and you got one in the boat, and you saw Trav start to go to work. And look, he had a big-time guy from North Carolina that ended up at Clemson that may end up being a first-round draft pick in that class. Unfortunately, he decommitted. But you saw Trav start to put the pressure there on several guys saying, hey, if you want in, you better get in now. And I guarantee you Zach and Crime Dog will do the same thing. You're absolutely right, Keith.
I think we've talked about this before, but if there's one guy, of course, the freaking yard guy shows up. So I apologize for the certainly not me. If you could have, besides Cam Coleman, who's would love to get to make a statement guy in state?
Oof.
In state? I see
Jeremiah Beeman.
That's who I'd go with.
Okay.
Because you're talking Birmingham, Alabama territory. I absolutely, for a premium position. Defensive tackle is a premium position. That's a guy they absolutely want. To me, that's your statement.
I agree. And getting Joe Phillips would be huge. Don't get me wrong. But as far as
Demarcus
Riddick would be a huge statement.
Oh,
To me, there's two questions there. One, the statement, and one, the guy you really feel like would be successful at Auburn. To me, that's DJ Barber. Me and Jhead have talked about that a million times.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, man. Reminds me a lot of – he just reminds me of Zacoby McClain, Deshaun Davis, just those guys with all that passion that play linebacker and play it the right way and have done such a good job at Auburn. Maybe not go to the NFL, but they did great at Auburn. You know what I mean?
So you mentioned the two guys I compare him to. When I hear him talk, I think Deshaun Davis.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He makes statements and quotes like Deshaun used to make.
Right.
When I see him play, I see Zacoby, but about 20 pounds heavier. That's exactly what I see.
Yeah.
For all the talk of Hugh Freeze's offenses and quarterbacks and receivers and defensive backs, if you look at Hugh's history, his teams have been built like all great coaches from the inside out. And so that's why, to me, Beeman would be, that gets you going. Okay, that gets you going. Because quite frankly, Auburn's defensive line in the last couple of years, now we think it'll be better this year with some of these transfers, but gosh, it really was so good with Montravius and Dontavius and Derek Brown, those guys. And we haven't seen that the last couple of years, right? This guy's just kind of holding steady in there. And so this is a guy, to me, I'm with you guys. So, Jeffrey, was that your pick too, Beeman? In state?
I think there are four guys in state that would make a lot of, make a statement. Statement guys. We know Cam Coleman. We know Cam Coleman's a statement guy.
Yep.
I think Jeremiah Beeman is a statement guy.
Yep.
I think Demarcus Riddick is an obvious statement guy. You flip him from Georgia. All right, now we're talking. I still think Joe Phillips is a statement guy.
I'll give you one more.
Okay.
Yeah. Kevin Riley is a statement guy.
Yeah.
You land that one out of and look, I don't know where he sits on Alabama's board. I know they're recruiting him, but they're recruiting a lot of running backs. That are highly ranked.
They're not recruiting him as hard as Auburn, he told me.
Right. If you can get that kid out of Alabama's back, and to me, Jeffrey, you just named the five guys that are. If you can land those five in this class, that's a hell of a successful recruiting class from the state of Alabama. And
I'd
then you accentuate.
Perry too.
Go ahead, Cole.
Perry Thompson too would be my other one.
Yeah, you flip an Alabama commitment, but I'm, I've learned my lesson, dude.
Here's my issue with Kevin.
I say that every year, then I'm like, I don't know, man. Auburn can flip it.
Here's my concern with Kevin Riley, though. Suppose you get him in the boat in August, and then Alabama decides in November 10th.
Yeah.
All right, you know what?
December 9th.
This is exactly. This is the guy. I mean, you got to take chances. It's like this golf hole behind me, risk reward, right?
Yeah.
But man, oh gosh, oof, boy, that would it could work in the other way too, right?
It could. It depends on the kid though, because if Alabama, if he commits to Auburn and he shuts it down, you know what I mean. And Alabama was slow playing him. That can. I mean, we saw that work out with who's the kid from down in Mobile that was the linebacker that was committed to them.
Robert Woodyard.
I'm sure
Robert Woodyard.
I think they were going to gray shirt him at the end. I believe there was something. Jeffrey, you heard that too?
Yeah, they were going to take him.
Yeah, they were going to take him. That was my understanding too. But yeah, kind of like what they did with can't think of the guy's name now.
I'll give you a better example. Yeah, Rock Thomas, where they slow played him at the very beginning, and then they came back in on Rock later on down the line when they missed on a couple of guys, and he stuck with Auburn.
Well, Kerryon Johnson was one too, where they had initially recruited him as a defensive back, and then switched up their recruitment to him to say, "Okay, yes, absolutely, we will take you as running back." But he was in Huntsville. Rock Thomas was in Oxford.
Jerez Parks.
This kid's got to Jerez Parks. This kid's got to drive through Tuscaloosa to get to Auburn, right? I mean,
that's true. I mean, Keith, you're right.
Now, if you're going to turn the corner as a program, you got to win some of these too. So they may be saying, to hell with the risk. This is Auburn. And can I just say that's why I don't love the motto that's out on Twitter, why not Auburn? And I don't want to be critical of people at Auburn. That's really something was started not this step, but the last step. But that's like saying, why not Middle Tennessee? I say this is Auburn, not why not Auburn. That's all. I've been wanting to get that off my chest for a while.
Yeah, I agree.
We've got a lot of recruitment. Man, it's going to be fun. I think this class is going to be fun to cover. I think it's going to be fun to follow. Obviously, we'll be doing it all at Auburn Live on 3. Any high vouchers this week?
Yeah.
Okay.
How about you to Bruce Pearl and the boys for today? Let's see if they can't pull a big one out in Birmingham. He's probably looking like Meredith Burgess from Rocky right now, getting the team pepped up in the locker room.
You got to do it, mate.
But no, look, how about you to them? Look, this has been a tough season for them from the standpoint that they have not played at the level that they wanted to play at. Can they turn it on now in the postseason? I'd love to see them do it today versus a pretty evenly matched Iowa team.
Well, people listening know whether or not you're right, and they're either saying "kiss my ass, Jhead," or "nice job, big dog."
Hey, go big or go home, right?
Yeah. CP Cole Pinkston.
Yeah, E-L-Y, Ely. I'm not sure how you say it. Y'all know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Eli.
That's my one. Eli. Yeah.
All right. I like it. I like it. A little limited there. Neebs.
Yeah, I'm going to go the whole Auburn basketball staff because, throughout this whole year, we're watching this team play and you're like, man, this is not pretty, right? This is not pretty. Ball screens, 25-footers. But, we got a little debate on the site last week. You have to separate the recruiting from the actual coaching. This was not their best built team. They also lost 2 guys in the top 10 picks of the draft as well, but not the best built team. That happens, right? That's why what Duke did over those 40 years was so incredible.
Yeah.
That they could rebuild every single year. You never forgot about Duke. And there's only a few people that can do that. But when you take a look at the coaching, to have a 20-win season and that be considered a down year, the floor used to be we were walking on the floor. Now the floor is like our heads, right? So that's impressive. So kudos to those guys. And also one more, how about you? We're going to go with Rice again.
Oh, I hear you.
That guy, he just continues to eat turd sandwiches every day. And they're
Thank you. May I have another?
They're fulfilling. They fill him up. He loves it. He doesn't get too many calories from him. He maintains his weight. He's a hell of a guy, man.
No. First ballot Hall of Famer or Shamer, whichever one you prefer.
Oh, yeah. Keith, to your point on the basketball floor, you could buy tickets when I was in college at Auburn for $10. You could literally buy tickets for $10 and walk right in. Try to find a ticket for $10 right now to an Auburn basketball game.
It's so fun to watch. When I was a kid, we couldn't afford to go to Gator football season tickets. We couldn't go that route. We didn't have the money. What we could afford were Gator basketball season tickets. You want to know why? Because they were 5-22. 5-22 with like one conference win. And so we were able to, as a family, get on the ground floor. And so to the people that were with this Auburn basketball program from the ground floor, they're not ever going to forget this ascension and then kind of the miracle that it's been. And we'll see. Someday somebody's going to have to replace Bruce, and maybe the program will be on such good footing that it won't hurt him. You don't know. He may do that good of a job. It's a destination now.
I've got a couple, not many. I usually have more than this, but we've been less time gandering at the board and more posting at this point. It was just fun, man. We've had a lot of content, a lot of intel coming up on the corner at the Auburn Live on 3 message board. How about you to War Eagle J5? How about you to Braylon Copeland, who is a 6th grader at Drake Elementary School? He is all about some on 3, big dog.
I like it.
He is a short little kid, but he's a fantastic athlete. I guarantee you he's going to have an on 3 profile when he gets older. He's really quick, man. Went on a field trip with Brooks, and this kid was the nicest, most well-mannered kid, so much so that I was like, I want to talk to your mom and just tell her how good of a kid you are. He was awesome,
man.
He was awesome. And so I've been taking Brooks and Jake and Braylon's been going with them to church on Wednesday nights. Jessica will take them and I'll go pick them up. But every time I take him home, it's Mr. Lee, man, you think we're going to get Grayson McCall? What about, Perry Thompson's coming in? Do you think we can flip him? DeMarcus Riddick, you think I'm going, dude, you're in 6th grade? And he knows, I said, dude, you got to call into the show one night. You ask better recruiting questions.
Yeah, have him call in.
But so, and his mom, Miss Cassandra. So how about you to Braylon Copeland and Miss Cassandra, his mother? And also, how about you to Ellie Oldham? I finally met Ellie yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes.
I finally met her, man. Really cool chick. She was right in there. Me and Cole and who was it? Jason Caldwell and Christian. We're all sitting around shooting the shit, and she was right there with us, buddy. I mean, she wasn't, over here in the corner. She was right there slinging it with us, man. So how about you to Ellie? Does a fantastic job for Auburn Live on 3. Great show, fellas. We will be back Sunday night for the call-in show. We'll see if we can't get Braylon to call in and give us some topics, man.
Does he think Rice is the worst poster as well? Do we know or not?
He definitely thinks Jhead's the worst poster. There's no question.
Is he not a Jhead fan?
What?
Is he not a Jhead fan?
I have no idea.
I will bet.
We got to get him some on 3. We'll have to,
on 3 swag.
We'll have to get him a pullover or something like that.
Definitely.
I bought Braylon. So I bought Brooks and Jake and Luke all on 3 hoodies, because hoodies are the thing, for these kids, right? They wear hoodies, 95-degree weather. And I bought all them for Christmas. Well, Braylon was like, "Where'd you get that on 3, Brooks? You're on 3." He's like, "Yeah, my dad works on." Oh my God! So I got Braylon an on 3 hoodie. But I think it's too big for him. He's real little, but he's like a Sean Shivers.
It's okay. It's not a terrible idea, Jeffrey, to have him give some takes on the board. He's probably going to be right as much as anybody else on the board, right? I mean,
no question.
He's really, he's really knowledgeable for a 6th grader. He's very knowledgeable about recruiting. He follows it, and oh, okay. Zach was personally attacked by the hoodie company. I wear hoodies too. Don't get me wrong, but these kids wear it in the freaking summer.
I have worn out
Jeffrey,
my
I'm reading
3 hoodies. They got holes in them just about. I wear them so much.
Listen, my 14-year-old nephew cruising around, 92 degrees, hoodie on with shorts. And I'm like, bro, what kind of sense is this?
And then they go, "Man, it's hot." I'm like, "Well, take your freaking hoodie off, big dog."
Yes.
Great day in the morning. All right, we'll be back Sunday night call-in show, 6:30 p.m. Central Time. We're looking forward to some really good calls. We'll find out how the Auburn basketball team did. Follow along all this recruiting going on, as well as the scrimmage Friday. We're going to have all the content there at Auburn Live on 3. We will do our very best to keep you guys informed as possible. One more time for anybody looking to buy or sell a home in Auburn or Opelika, anywhere in Lee County, give Jessica Andrews a call with the Talents Group, 334-704-4442, and she will help you out, man. Tell her we sent you. Thanks again, everybody. We appreciate everybody listening. We appreciate everybody watching. For Keith, for Cole, for Jhead, for Zach in the back, I'm Jeffrey Lee, man. Y'all stay out of that left lane. See ya.